When's the last time you paid full price for something? I mean, seriously, whether it was groceries, clothes, electronics, or literally anything off the TikTok shop that's most definitely a scam, chances are you probably got some type of deal on it. And this is so normalized for us now that, at least for me, when I see something that's full priced, it makes me question, is that really worth it? And if it is, what makes it worth it? Now, out of all the different consumer goods that this applies to, I'm really not qualified to talk about any of them. So I'll just talk about the one that I enjoy the most and the one I've spent an absurd amount of money on, that being video games.
I gotta be honest with you. They've been like $50, $60 for, what, a decade? Something like that? In which time games have doubled or quadrupled in cost. And the price hasn't gone up. And you can see the difference between a PlayStation 2 game and a PlayStation 5 game, and you're almost paying the same price. Man, I don't want to put the cost on the fan. I don't. But they're expensive to make. They really are.
I do feel like this game is just $70 DLC, and it just feels that way, bro. It really does, because once again, they didn't add any new maps they made themselves. There's not one single new map. These are just all old remastered MW2 maps. The game definitely feels a little bit different than Modern Warfare 2 2022, and I'm not just saying that. It does feel like it's been tweaked a lot, but for $70, I wouldn't say it's worth it at all.
Which title was originally DLC for the previous Modern Warfare 2 and was repackaged into a new title to be sold at full retail game Oh yeah, that one's pretty obvious, actually.
There's misconceptions in the industry about what piracy is, right? You know, there's assumption that what is piracy? Piracy is about people who want to steal stuff from you, right? That they don't want to pay any money and they want to get your content. But when you look at the fact that these people have, $2,000 PCs and, they're spending $50 a month US more on their internet connections, clearly they're willing to spend money. So from our point of view, what we saw more and more is that piracy is a result of bad service on the part of game companies.
Let's get something straight. This is not a video about how much a game should cost. I remember everybody freaking out when the standard price of a AAA game went from like $60 to $70, and there's been a lot of debate about it. That's not what this is. That type of video has already been done to death on YouTube, and I'm definitely not qualified to talk about it. This video is more about you and what justifies the decision you make when you do decide to pay full price for a video game. That being said, however, a lot of people point out that due to inflation and just the average amount of time that video games have been priced similarly, we should be thankful that they aren't more expensive than they are. Doing a simple Google search shows you that from 1977 to present day, the average video game is always somewhere in the ballpark of $30 to $70, and that really hasn't fluctuated. And yes, I'm talking about the base game, not the super mega deluxe honka versions that you guys pre-order and then cry about when it shows up and it's just a rock. Now, if you do a Google search looking for the price of video games over the past 46 years, one of the first articles that pops up is something written by Robert Grosso, published on TechRaptor. It gives a good perspective and overall picture of what economics around gaming looked like over the years, and it kind of milestones it around console releases. And the second article I found that takes a ton of inspiration from that first article we just talked about was written by Sam Nagy, and it's on Game Industry Biz. He actually took data from that first article and put it in this visualized graph that's a lot easier to understand. So instead of debating what a price of a video game should be, I'll leave you to YouTube searches, and I've pointed you in the direction of two great articles. This video is really about the justification of the price tag, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm about to share a mind-blowing fact. Games are expensive. And that's why deciding what game to shell out your hard-earned cash for can actually be a difficult task, because you have to decide what makes this game worth me doing this. In other words, why would you pay full price for a video game? I think everybody's answer to this question is going to be different. So seriously, pause the video and think for a second. Why would you pay full price for a video game? No, really, for like 1 minute, just pause the video and really think about it. If you're like me, your answer is probably, I know you didn't pause the video, you piece of crap. Now do it and think about it. If you're anything like me, your answers to this question probably look something like this. I'm a fan of the series already. I'm a fan of the genre already. It's a project I want to support. It's got great reviews. My friends are getting it, and I plan on getting it to play with them. The devs behind it have a good track record, and I trust the purchase to be one of quality. And finally, it just looks fun. As I stated before, I thought those were pretty standard answers and figured everybody would have the same answers as me. But then I really thought about it and realized that doesn't make a good YouTube video. We gotta get people's opinions. So I took to the expansive world of social media. I posted on 5 different social media platforms asking people what makes them decide to pay full price for a game. Combining all my followers together from those 5 social media platforms, I have a total of 23,425 followers at the time of recording. Assuming each of my followers have 2 eyeballs each, I know, bold assumption, but stay with me. Assuming they each have 2 eyeballs each, that means there's 46,850 eyeballs that read that question. And of those 46,850 eyeballs, I got 10 answers. That's it, which is still more than I expected, so I'm good with it. And if you're wondering, it all came from Discord and TikTok. Nobody answered on YouTube, Instagram, or X. It's Twitter. So what did these answers consist of? 4 answers touched on the overall enjoyment of a game. 3 answers touched on the reviews for the game. 4 answers touched on the length of a game. 4 answers touched on the overall gut feeling towards the game before purchase. 3 of them touched on just the trust and the history of the developers, and 1 was genre bias. Now that adds up to a total of 19 different points. How can there be 19 points awarded in this pie chart if there was only 10 answers? That's because people have more than one reason as to why they would pay full price for a video game. I know. Shocking, right?
The answers from TikTok are all pretty short and sweet, so we'll read them all at once. If it has replayability and doesn't try to constantly sneak into my wallet to steal my money in grubby ways. An hour of enjoyment per dollar spent. Honestly, if I think I'll like it, I'll spring at it. If I don't like it within its terms, I refund it ASAP. The rest of these answers come directly from my Discord, and for context, I'll give you the exact question that I asked. What makes a game worth it to pay full price for it? Whether it's $20 or the standard $60 to $70. I'm talking about the full price as in the day it comes out. If you're into the series, I snag it. If it looks similar to what I like, I snag it. If I hear good reviews from before, I snag it. If I see the game and it doesn't look too interesting, I wait. I feel the hour to dollar system works well. So if it's $20 and has 20 plus hours of content, it's a good deal. I use that or ask around to people who have similar interests as me when it comes to games and see what they say. And then there's the risky technique of just taking a leap of faith and hoping for the best. If it's a company that I know puts a lot of effort and soul into the game, if it's a game I've been waiting for, or if a YouTuber does a Let's Play and it looks like something I'd play. For me personally, I think any combination of variety of factors. The higher the price, the more boxes the game needs to check for it to be worth it for me. These are the factors. Hype created by advertising. Hype created by a fan base. The game is a sequel to something I already love. The game is a completely original concept that doesn't look like it's replicating something. This next one makes me sad. When the game is a fully completed game upon release and won't require 20,000 updates/patches. A brilliant score. A story that's engaging but not dragged out or rushed. Probably some other things that I'm forgetting right now, but that's usually the type of crap I look at. It takes quite a bit for me to buy a game on release day for full price, and it depends on a few things that I ask myself before buying it. How much time do I expect to spend on this game? Will I be able to play it during the release week, or would it just be better to wait for a sale? Is it from a studio or franchise that I recognize and want to support? Does the gameplay/story look exceptional from the few previews that I've seen? Ultimately, what decides if it was worth it or not boils down to the overall quality of the gameplay or story. Time spent often doesn't play a big factor unless it's embarrassingly short and a full $70. I also agree with many of the points brought up by Packnet, but the TLDR is, if a game provides an experience that I ultimately enjoy, it's money well spent, even if it's full price. The price for the game really depends for me. If it's a game I want to be one of the first to play, I will drop the $70 to get it upon release. If it's a franchise that I love and support, I'd do any deluxe or ultimate editions for it, but if it's a game I see myself playing but not really into, then I'll for sure wait till there's a sale or deal for it.
Now, out of all of these different answers, there's one reason that I didn't see included in anybody's answers as to why they would pay full price for a video game. Wasn't even included in my answers. That being if the person felt that the game was an expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, an expression that brings out our emotions, makes us feel something. Yes, I didn't come up with that definition on my own. That's the definition of art. It's 2024, and unlike just a few short decades ago, video games are widely accepted now as a form of art. That's why we have the Game Awards and these companies actually shelving out ridiculous amounts of money to get these highly skilled writers and voice actors to be in their games. It's not just Tetris and Pong anymore. These are actual works of art. And yeah, Tetris and Pong are works of art too. I get it, but just let me make my point. And this makes this question so much harder to answer for me because how do you determine the price of
See, the one reason that I will always pay full price for a video game is when it truly is a work of art. And I don't mean that in some elitist way where it has to look like a masterpiece. I mean when it truly is the creative expression of somebody's emotions. There's one video game I always come back to. It's called The First Tree. I made a review about it 4 years ago. In the gameplay, you're just playing through the narrator's dream, but what it's really about, I'll just let the developer speak for himself.
Anyway, having this game, I wanted it to be more serious. This game is based on dealing with the death of my father, which was the hardest thing that's ever happened to me and my family. But I don't want to talk about it here, and I didn't want to talk about it with anybody really. To this day still, it's very personal. And that's why I made this game. That's exactly the reason. Because I wanted to get those feelings out and like communicate with people without like talking about it. And so that's what The First Tree is. It's me dealing with my feelings, and it was a personal project, and it was just me, and it actually, like, I'm really glad I made it, but it wasn't easy to make, I guess is what I'm saying.
When I wrote that review 4 years ago, I reached out to the creator himself, David Wehle. He was more than kind to actually respond to every single question that I had via email. So I wanted to reach out to him again. And I fully respect the wishes and boundaries that David Wehle has drawn to kind of distance himself from online communication. And out of respect to him, I won't be telling you what I'm putting in this letter. But I did decide to write him. There's a lot of fears and insecurities I have in this season of life right now. And I don't know why, but The First Tree really does help cope with it. So the fact that this was created 90% by just one person, it really does make me respect it in a way where I just keep coming back to it as a true work of art. And so ultimately, you watching this video, I want to know why you would pay full price for a video game. For me, there are a variety of reasons, not just one. But when it really is a work of art tied to somebody's emotions, that seems to be the most appealing for me.